And I think doesn't matter what camera or lens you used a new perspective, a new, you saw it something new. And once you find what style you like, what lines, what distance, what your eye likes, that makes you a better photographer.
So I'm gonna start with an intro, then I'm gonna bring you in, and then we're gonna go.
Oh
All right,
gosh.
ready?
Yeah.
It's okay. You're gonna do great. Don't worry about it.
Is that what
Okay.
you tell everyone?
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
What's going on? Ryan Troy back with another video for you today. And today I am joined with somebody that is great, fantastic. I'm so lucky to even be able to be interviewing him. Now, we all know him. He has an incredible YouTube channel. I'm not even going to continue talking. Let's just go ahead on and bring him in.
Wow. Do they really know me? Come on.
Oh, they know you. They know you. We are joined with Omar Gonzalez.
Hey, how are you, Ryan?
How are you doing today?
Awesome. You know how I found you?
How?
The algorithm, the YouTube algorithm.
Finally working for me.
Yeah. So I was interested in Nikon, and your video just popped up. Like,
Nice.
this Nikon videos popped up. Matt Irwin popped up. All the YouTubers just from searching Nikon.
Right. And I've been trying to leave that space. Not that I don't like Nikon, because I love Nikon, but I just want to venture into. I want to be able to reach a bigger audience.
You want to venture into Sony?
No. But yeah, I want to be able to reach a bigger audience, and that's what I like about your channel. Is I like Nikon, but I also like watching other people that shoot different camera bodies, and I feel like your channel just has a big, like you can go anywhere without it. And I think that's probably what makes you successful like you are on YouTube.
I totally went through what you're going through. I was all 100% Fujifilm on my channel because I was trying to teach people about Fujifilm. I was excited about Fujifilm in the beginning. I didn't know what YouTube was about, so my production was horrible. And I always like helping people. So I was 100% Fujifilm, but at some point, about a year and a half into the channel, just like you're at this crossroad where you're a one-trick pony, kind of thing. And I felt like I was. And anytime I talked about something else, like my videos would tank. They're like completely horrible. And I realized that you have to play the algorithm. I think you kind of have to. I think you do have to talk about Nikon maybe like every now and then get back to what so I talk about Fujifilm, but then I go back and try to do other things that make me happy.
Right. And not we're on this subject. When you were saying like the videos would tank and then you would go back to, do just a little bit of things of Fujifilm or whatever, did that help with growth at all? Because I'm at that point now where I put out a video recently with, I'm not sure if you know the Grays of Westminster.
Yeah, I know them. I found them through the algorithm too. Through the algorithm rabbit hole.
Nice. So I did one of these with them, and from all of my other videos that barely were touching 1,000, that one just took off like crazy. And, and the title was all Nikon related. And I'm like, you're
gonna have to mix it in. You're gonna have to play the game. And I found that I don't know if they're listening right now, but YOUTUBE, they want eyes. They want eyes and they want views. They don't care about what the topic is. And so I think personally, if anyone's doing YouTube, you have to play the game. And the game is you need views. Whilst still trying to be happy. So I always, if you're like, for example, what I've been trying to do lately on YouTube, which is like fun because I want to make the videos fun for me, is I like to go out and shoot. And so I'll vlog shoot, but the title has the camera I'm using and it has, something that will get maybe a click.
Right.
But what you'll realize eventually is people are there for you. Like I found you through YouTube, but I rewatched you because it's that guy with the nice voice. I like him.
Oh, thank you.
You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna find out that people are gonna come back to you because of you, and it won't matter eventually as your audience grows whether you shoot Sony, Nikon, Fuji. It doesn't matter.
Right. Now, when it comes to your work, I see your work as being like me, for instance. I'm a portrait photographer, right?
Yep.
And as much as I want to be a landscape photographer, I personally feel I don't have the eye for it, right?
Yeah.
But when I see your work, you have great portraits, but you do a lot of good street photography, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I lived in New York City, it was a lot of people that would just go out to like Soho and just like the fashion scene and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
everything. When Fashion Week came, it was just like it was incredible. I could never do it as much as I tried. But with you being in the location that you are in and then also so close to New York City, what do you think about people that want to be in the street photography that may live in like
Oh my
the
gosh.
boonies?
Yeah, I
You
know.
know?
I think about that all the time because one thing I tried to do on my channel is not go to New York. I
Right.
wanted to be like, all right, I'm gonna do street photography in the most boring downtown.
Hmm.
And you know what? It's not easy. Like the
Right.
reality of it is it's not easy. You can't fake it. And so someone may live in the boring non-New York street photography town, but the elements of photography are the same. So you're going to have like a popular street photography trope or something that people do is using light and shadow, and
Hmm.
then there's a figure that's walking through the light or shadow. It's like overdone, but it's awesome.
Right.
You could have that in a boring town if your town has a train station or if your town has like a cool store or something. If you go at the right time, it's mostly about the lighting and adding a person in for some kind of element.
Right.
So I think that you can take some of that New York sort of street photography stuff and translate it to your town, but we ain't gonna lie to you. It's not easy. It's totally
Right.
not
Right.
easy. And it also has to do with motivation because you're kind of bored where you live. Most of
Right.
most of the eye candy of New York is great for street photography. You're just seeing all these shapes and elements and stuff that you don't see. So, yeah, the
Yeah.
answer is you mentioned landscape photography and street photography. I find I like doing all of them because they all kind of intersect. There's elements of street photography in landscape photography and vice versa. I like doing cityscapes, which is like landscapes,
Right.
sunrise, sunset, cityscapes. So I try to do them all to kind of mix it up a little bit.
Have you ever like traveled to do things like that? I saw you took a trip one time where I think the video was titled something like "My New Favorite." Like I don't know if it was vlog camera or on the go camera, and you brought like the iPhone. Or I think it was a Fuji.
Oh
I know
yeah,
you
yeah, that
brought the
was a
Nikon.
motorcycle trip I took. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Most of my travel is done with the family, which is in itself like a challenge because you have to set time aside. They
Right.
don't care about your photography at all.
Right.
You're a family man too. I'm sure
Yeah.
that when you
Three
go out,
kids.
yeah, yeah, they're
Yeah.
walking and they're not waiting.
Right.
So you kind of have to like when we went to Vancouver and we went to Banff,
Hmm.
Canada. Um, I knew I had to set time aside to do photography for me, and then there's
Right.
that lame-o, I have a zoom lens on, we're walking fast kind of photography with the family.
Right. Nice. Now, one subject that, and I told you that I wanted to get into was a lot. When I first started, I'll just say, when I first started photography, I started with a Nikon D90. Okay. It was a crop sensor camera. That was my fall in love with photography camera. So I did events, I did portraits, I did a few weddings with it.
Was that a full frame or is that
That's
the
a crop.
that's a crop, okay, so
That's a,
to
yeah,
me,
that's a crop.
Nikon, the DX, the FX, like,
Right.
it took a
Right.
while to learn it all because some of the cameras that start with D are full frame, and I'm like, D, DX,
Right. Yeah. So
ER, it's like
the D90, which was later replaced by the D7000
ah, okay, that
series.
one I know, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it was before that. So I felt when if I wanted to go to the next level based on what I was told that I needed to go full frame.
Hold
So
on.
I picked up my D750. That's the camera that I went to next. Now I saw a big difference, but at that time you also have to realize that D90 was extremely old. So
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I could have probably went to a D7000 and saw a huge difference as well. I can't even remember the megapixels
I think they were like
on the
maybe
D90.
16, maybe. Yeah, back
Yeah.
then. Yeah.
Yeah, it was real small. But then you see brands out here like Fujifilm that I just feel like is crushing it and destroying the narrative that if you want professional photos, you need to go full frame. Now, as a person like you that shoots with Fujifilm a lot as well, I know you shoot with other cameras, but there you go. There it goes.
Yeah, there's a little Fuji
Now,
for you.
Can, do you do a lot of professional work with your Fuji, or for that do you use a full frame,
You
or
know,
do you do both?
I made a video that got a lot of views called "Why I Don't Shoot Fujifilm for My Professional Work," and the answer isn't very glamorous. You obviously can. You can shoot professional work. There's a lot of YouTubers that even do it. Like anyway, the names escape my mind because I'm thinking of my answer. But the um, the Fujifilm system for me just is a small, compact, street, fun system
Right,
because I found that I wasn't really photographing anymore. I was shooting events and just shooting portraits, and then I would just want to put the whole like DSLR cameras away. I didn't really want to do photography when we went out.
right,
And then I got a little Fujifilm 100, like the fixed lens kind of camera.
right.
I have this is a smaller version of it. This is the X70. It's a crop
Nice,
sensor, sort of little street. There it is, a little street dude. And
nice.
what I loved about it was it had like the little dials on there, and it brought the love of photography back, like
Right,
changing ISO, changing. So the retroness of it got me back to shooting, and I was having fun doing photography for me.
right, right.
And
Which is
so
the important part.
yeah, exactly. And I don't know, do you still go out and shoot like for fun?
Uh, I do actually, not as often as I did in the beginning, but I do.
Yeah, you try to
Um,
go out. That's good.
yeah, definitely.
And we had kids, and so I started using the Fujifilm to sort of document the family and taking black and whites of the family, and so I sort of like made it my not pro. So I kind of put it to the side and said, this is not what I'm going to use for work at all.
Got you.
And I kept my full frame stuff for professional work. But
Okay.
obviously, if you wanted to, go out and shoot, I've done a couple portrait sessions with the Fujifilm, um, but I prefer full frame. But maybe that's what we could debate.
Well, I mean, I haven't. I recently went to a Nikon ZFC just because I like the retro look of it as well. Have you used that camera yet?
I have not. I'm really like I want to use that camera. It looks like a marriage between the the Nikon system and the Fujifilm system. So
Right. So I used it because I wanted to make a video on the channel, which I got so sidetracked that I never actually recorded the video, but I rented the camera.
oh, okay.
And I wanted to compare it with my Nikon Z6 II because as far as megapixels, they're around the same. Now I use a Z7 II for majority of my work. So
Oh,
I felt
really?
it'd just be more fair. Yeah, I felt it'd be more fair with the ZFC and the 6 II as far as megapixels and just compare the difference in the photos.
Yeah.
And I took my son to a park and we took photos and with the leaves because of, the fall. And I was like, man, if this was given to me, if I was a brand new photographer and I had this camera right here, I don't see anywhere that I can complain.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly.
everything about this camera can get the job done. And as I always say, I want to make it I just want to make it known that you don't have to spend so much money to get into photography.
Yeah, I know.
You get in this for the love of it. If you have to start off with an APS-C or DX camera, if you
I'm
have to start with
learning.
that, yeah, I'm trying to learn too.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
then
look,
just do it.
especially now around this time is like the shopping sales. Like you go on and you see, these Black Friday sales where some of these cameras, that you've been dreaming about are $500 off or, $600 off. But it depends what your needs are. So here's how I see the whole APS-C versus full frame battle is for me, I like to shoot far away from my subjects.
Okay.
So I like the background to be compressed. So what I do is I like we're talking 85, 50, 85, 100 millimeter portraits.
Right.
If I were to use an APS-C, then I don't get the separation that gives me sort of that medium format look, because full frame can give you that medium format look with 1.2, 1.4 lenses. I'm
Right.
talking full length portraits. That's the main
Right.
issue for me is full length portraits. With an APS-C, I could grab my, Fujifilm makes this lens right here. This is a super cheap setup. This is a $400 XT20,
Hmm.
and this is a 56 millimeter 1.2 lens. So it's a 1.2, which would act kind of like a 1.8 full frame. And so
Gotcha.
you could get separation with that. It's kind of like an 85-1.8.
Right. Which is one of my favorite lenses.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
The 85-1.8 gives you beautiful separation.
Definitely.
Now,
What lens are you using now?
what lens? Where? I have like 1,000.
Oh,
of them
no,
in here.
like that's watching you
Oh, this
on
right
your
here.
camera.
This
Yeah.
is the Sigma. The Tamron 17-28 on
Nice. What's the aperture?
2.8.
Nice, nice. It looks good. Looks
But
real
if I
good.
zoom in, baby, look at that.
Let's get a
Yeah. So,
boom.
oh, look at that bokeh right there. So, you
Yeah,
see
it
how
does.
the
It looks
background,
great.
guys, gets even blurrier? Like, look at Superman back there is super blurry. You can see my
Right.
nostrils. But as soon as you kind of zoom out a little bit, you could start seeing
You can
more
see it
detail.
more. Right,
So
right.
that's why longer lenses for portraits are my thing. Now, if you only have a crop sensor, you could shoot headshots, man, with a 50
With a
millimeter.
50.
Yeah, with a 50 millimeter cheap plastic lens, like
Yeah.
this nifty 50 right here by Nikon. What is it? This lens is awesome.
Yeah, that's the what was it? The G, I
Yeah,
want to
the
say
G
lens.
plastic
Yeah.
piece of crap, and it's
Yeah.
amazing, that lens. You could put
You
that.
know,
Yeah,
ah,
I'm getting
how
excited here. Let me
oh
calm
no,
down.
it's fine. It's fine.
Let me drink
Because I
some of
want
my
to get
Sony
into something.
Kool-Aid here.
I want to I want to get into that because I have a friend that I know, and he shoots with a D850, and like I said, I shoot with a Nikon Z7 II. Have you had a chance to get any native Z glass?
I do. I told you I have
Do
lenses
you
everywhere.
have the 50 millimeter 1.8
I have the
Z?
1.8. I do.
Yeah,
The
the one
S
because
one.
we can't afford. I mean, I don't know about you, but I can't afford the 1.2. So,
No,
but
that's a little too much lens. Yeah.
But coming from that old plasticky lens with the DSLR that Nikon made into this 50 1.8 Z lens,
Yeah.
to me it's night and day. This lens, this S-line lens as they're calling them, is just
They're
fantastic to
amazing.
me.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
I think
So
what's happening to me though, I'm kind of like a little nostalgic. I actually blame the Nikon D700 for this.
mhm,
Because I picked this camera up on a fluke because I made a video about how I felt that the newer cameras that I tried the Sony A7 IV, I
mhm,
tried the Canon R6, I tried that camera. I was trying a bunch of the new mirrorless cameras, and I made a video called Lifeless that I felt that the cameras, they're so good now and they're so sharp.
right.
But then our images, for me anyway, it was like a little bit of look at my totally soaked myself here.
Oh, with the water.
To me, I felt like there was something missing and I couldn't figure what it was. And I was like going through all my old photos. I'm like, what's missing? What don't I feel?
Right,
And what it was like a lower megapixel camera with an older lens gives you kind of a filmic movie-ish look.
right,
And my 5D Mark II files, I started going through those and I'm like, wow, these are so old, these files, but they look great. I want to start getting this look. And the
right.
D700 had that look. And a lot of these new Nikon Z lenses are amazing. And luckily, Nikon, I feel like their files aren't lifeless. And that's why I switched to Nikon, because it was the first mirrorless camera that I had that reminded me of my 5D Mark II.
Right, right.
That's good.
So, have you had a chance to touch any of the Canon mirrorless cameras?
Yeah. I tried the R6. Have a second shooter that had the R5. I'm just not a fan of the fully articulating screen. I use I use this kind of screen all the time. I'm always shooting street and stuff, looking down,
Right.
getting low to the ground and stuff. And I don't like pulling out the screen. So
That is interesting, because that's a fault that I blame Nikon on, is because I want to be able to, not even for photography, because I understand that completely.
Oh,
I'm
you
fine
want the
with
fully
that.
articulating screen?
For video, I
Oh
just want to be able
no,
to see
man.
myself, and yeah, so it's
Well, what they
hard.
should do, I mean, they really should make. I know we're going off topic here. I apologize.
Oh no, it's fine.
But the flip. Here's the Z6 II. The flip up. Look what I have on the Z6 II, Ryan. Can you see this? Look at this lens that's on here. Hold on.
It looks like, is that a Canon lens? Oh wow,
Can you see what's going on here?
a lot, a lot.
Yeah. So, oh my God, this is how freaky. Like, I'm always testing different things. I have a adapter on here, which
Okay.
takes Sony lenses.
Oh, it's a Sony lenses.
Yeah, it takes Sony lenses. So this is called the Megadap adapter, which I reviewed, but I
Wow.
updated it and still testing.
And then you have the adapter that goes for the Sony mount to the Canon mount.
I have the Sigma MC. This is totally ridiculous, kids. Don't do this at home.
Does it autofocus?
It
Or do
totally
you have to
does.
manually?
It totally does. I was about to sell
Wow.
this. This is one of my favorite Life-full lenses. This is the 35 millimeter. Hold on, focus.
There you go.
F2. This is, like I said, a film lens, a film camera
Right.
lens. Oh, sorry. It's maybe the DSLR film. And it's got a quality to it. It's got sort of like a softer
Right.
quality, and I that's where I'm headed. Like, I'm trying to figure out. That's why I love the Nikon 105 1.4. Going
Right.
back to our discussion of APS-C, I feel like full frame gives me that original medium formatty film look, which I love.
Right.
It doesn't mean you can't get it on APS-C. You just need a lens that's a little bit longer and
Right.
opens up wide.
Mm-hmm. So I want to go into this. When I first came across your channel, the reason why I really liked it is just it was so inspirational, but not even just from your work perspective, just the way you speak, the way, just your energy. Like you had this
Thanks.
nice.
I edit myself a
positive
lot, by
energy.
the way.
So you may not actually be like this, guys.
No,
but-
totally not. There are so many times where I'll talk and then I'll be like, all right, I'm doing that over again. So
Right, right.
these sort of like, I asked Ryan, is this raw? Is this edited? Because like sometimes I go on tangents when I'm recording. It's terrible.
And we're keeping all of this. So the thing is, I end up going to your website. And when I went to your website, I saw the way you use light. And for me, when I first started photography, I started with off-camera flash.
Yeah.
I didn't, just go. I went straight into that, and I used to use a speed light on top with a young new. I don't know,
Yeah, I
you know
had
the
those
brand,
too.
but
Yeah, young
yeah,
Neil.
right. And I used to trigger it with the speed light on top of my camera. And I have it in an umbrella, and
Oh
it
my
was just a
gosh, old
one
school.
light. I watched so many one light photography,
Zach Arias.
videos.
Yeah.
Back in the good old days. So that was my setup. But so I always been fascinated with light and lighting of photos. And as I was telling you before we started, you would do events where people are moving, things are happening, and
Yeah.
you would still manage to get these shots that looked as if it was staged
Yeah.
or whatever. So it's like, when did you get into lighting? Was that something you did earlier, or like how did that come about?
Yeah, good question. So when, just like everybody who starts, I was a natural light photographer because that's
Right.
what is perfect and wanted to
Right.
do. And the reality is, if you're shooting families and you're doing kid portraits, that's what I started with, doing babies and kids and stuff. I'm not going to take a light out. I'm not going to bring out a light and try to set up a light when it's more important to get expression and reaction from the kids.
Right.
So I was 100% just shooting with a reflector. And I think if you're starting out, that's the first thing you should get is a reflector so that you can bounce light before you start buying light. And there it is, baby. Nice. Is that like under your desk?
It is. Well, it's on my keyboard. It's just
Oh, look at the
bringing this little, like, if
secrets,
you look right
man.
here, it's dark, and then
Oh my
voila.
gosh. I'm going to try that right now.
There you go. I see it. I see the little bounce right
Yeah,
there
look
on
at
the
that little
chin. There you
bounce.
go.
So what I discovered immediately was there was a little sparkle in the eye from my reflector. And you can kind of see it in our video here. You know, you can see the little sparkle from the light we have.
Right.
And I
The
knew
catch
from the
light.
reflector that was awesome. But I started to realize if I shot anywhere where there wasn't outside and I was kind of trying to use like a little bit of window or some junky light, I didn't get that little dot that's in the eye.
Right.
So I started to investigate how to do off-camera lighting, on-camera lighting, and just like you, I started with a flash on camera, and I watched a ton of instructional videos and started practicing
Right.
on dummies, on plush toys, on my kids. There's so many pictures of my son when he's like 3 years old that I just gave him a toy to play with in a chair, and I'm like taking like 50 pictures of him to see if the light is here, if the light is
Right.
far. So the first thing I discovered from Creative Live is the closer the light is, the more beautiful and soft it is. I know I definitely wanted soft light, like natural light.
Right.
And I realized that the closer it is, or the bigger it is, the nicer it is. That's the look I wanted. And so when I started shooting events that were indoors in temples and stuff, I realized that I have like a 70-foot umbrella that I use. It's like
Okay. Yeah.
not
Yeah. I know
70
exactly what you're
feet.
talking
Sorry.
about. Like a 7 foot, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, I have that. That's why 70 feet. I was like, oh wow.
I have a truck that comes in and brings it and
Yeah.
opens
It takes
it
like
up.
50 people to set it up.
Exactly. But the light is beautiful.
It's worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it. Worthy effort. No, a 7-foot umbrella. You can get them on B&H. They're super cheap. You buy a cover for it.
The diffuser.
Yeah, the diffuser cover, and I put that mother super close. And I've got a
Right.
couple videos where I've shot. I have that on my channel. And even with speed lights, I used to put 2 little speed lights inside that umbrella, and it was all from just experimenting. I never tried to experiment while I was doing jobs.
Right.
I always knew what the light was going to do at a job.
Right.
And I think if you guys want to get better, you have to know distance, you have to know feathering of the light, and you have to be able to do it in 30 seconds.
Right.
Because
Right.
people don't judge you. If you're shooting an event or a headshot session, they don't judge you on the photographs. They're judging you on how you work and how loose you are and how you make them feel. And so I'm sure it's happened to you, Ryan, to do jobs where no one has even seen a photograph. They're like, you were so great.
Right. Oh man, that is
You know
such a
you know what I'm
that's
Yeah.
Keep going. Go
No,
ahead.
no, you go.
Okay. Listen, what you just said was because Matt Irwin.
Yeah.
We spoke about this as well, and how you just said like the photo part. And I try to tell people all the time, because I like to make a lot of videos now about just monetizing your passion and things like that. And as photographers, you have your own photography company and business as well, so that it's so much more than just photography.
Oh my gosh,
in it.
yes.
It's marketing, it's all of these other things,
Relationships with clients. Yeah.
right? Even social media. Like that's a video that I actually have planned to come out a little bit later as well. But all of that, and when you was like, the photography, they may not even see the photos. It's that experience. That is something that is very huge. So when you said that, I just wanted to make sure I went ahead on and touched on that as well.
Yeah.
Now,
Awesome. No, I was gonna say the great pictures that you get are bonus for your clients. You made them feel great. You made them have a great
yes,
time, and then the pictures are awesome. Like that's the full package right there.
exactly, it is. And photos don't mean the same to us as it means to them, because we may see a photo that we feel like, oh, this you know, because our minds are just, we're photographers, so we're like, oh well, this photo isn't all that great, but when they see it, it means something to
Oh
them,
yeah,
especially if it's a
totally.
child in it or something
Oh,
like
forget
that.
it.
They're
Yeah.
like, oh my god, look at my baby, she's so you know what I mean. You may
Yeah.
be like, oh, you picked that photo. I didn't, you know what I
Exactly. It
mean.
doesn't
I know
matter.
that happens to you a
Yeah,
lot
oh
too, where it's
yeah.
like you picked this photo,
I
but
know.
it's sentimental value, and you can't control how others feel when they see certain things. So
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna get us out of here, but before I
No, no, hold
do,
on. I want to answer
oh,
your
go ahead.
question, like finish answering it, because you said some of the pictures look like they're staged and stuff. And
Oh yeah,
yeah, so back to the lighting real quick. Since I know, like I told you guys, distance and what the light is going to do and what the pictures will look like without fumbling,
right,
that sometimes all I have to do is grab the subject and within a minute pose them, and boom, the light is amazing because I practice so much. I try to practice almost every day something.
right.
Autofocus, switching, like muscle memory stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a sport. So if you guys want to get better, you have to 100% be in your room alone, like for hours, just trying lights out. Stop watching videos. Like you can watch tutorials, but it won't click until you start doing it. And that's how I get the portraits that Ryan's talking about. They are in 1 minute and 5 minutes, and sometimes it's just grabbing the family. The guests are about to arrive, and I only have a minute because the party planner's like, they're coming in. I'm like, no problem. I
Right.
got this.
Yes. So, yeah, your work is amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I love that. I promise you, I went through it. I remember the night when I went through these photos, and I spent like a minute on each photo. Just, you know how sometimes you look at a photo and you try to judge based on
All
catch
the
light and
time.
things like that.
Yeah.
Like, let's see, he had a light right here. Or you know what I mean? I'm just dissecting everything. Like, where was this light coming from?
I didn't
But
catch your reflector light under the beard. That was a mystery.
right, because it's not in my eye though. I
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
well, maybe, I don't know. But I want to, before we leave, I want to ask you this last question. And it is, when it comes to photography, in your opinion, what do you feel is the most important thing to learn or have as a trait?
Full frame camera. Thank you very much. Good night.
All right, guys, we're out.
Buy one now. My links are below. No, no. No, I think it goes back to training the eye. You know, with any camera, I go out with all kinds of cameras, and it's the same thing. You're just trying to find, and there's a lot of videos on this too, but they don't get a lot of views. I think the most important thing in photography is just training your eye to see shapes and patterns, and you're looking for pictures, you're looking for paintings. So whatever photograph you're doing, move that camera around to try to get a different perspective. And I think that makes better photographers, because when you start out, most people grab their camera and stand straight up and point the camera angled down at the dog they're shooting.
Right.
But eventually something clicks where you go down to the ground and you shoot up at that dog, and you're kind of like, whoa, this is different.
Right.
You know, and I think doesn't matter what camera or lens you used a new perspective, a new, you know, you saw it, something new. And once you find what style you like, what lines, what distance, what your eye likes, that makes you a better photographer.
You know, that is so crazy.
And
That's
then
a
buy a
great
full frame. No, no.
that's a great answer, but for some reason I thought you was gonna go in a whole different way.
Oh
I
yeah.
thought you was gonna say light. I thought you was gonna say light.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. Well, I mean, light and composition. I mean,
right,
for
right.
sure.
But no, I'm happy that you did go that way, because nobody that I've spoken to went that way yet. And like I said, it's so many things. This is all opinion based, and what's important to different people. So it's like, I'm happy that perspective even came up.
Oh,
Because
totally. I mean,
otherwise,
you can have great composition and terrible light, and you can have
right, right.
amazing light and then just ruin the picture by shooting it from a weird angle or something. So they go hand in hand, of course.
Right. There was this photographer, and I know I was supposed to end it on that, but it just made me think of this. And there was a photographer on YouTube around when I first started, you know, so probably like '09 or 2010. And he said that his teacher gave him an experiment with the egg. Do you remember that video?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was. Do you remember who that was?
I don't remember the video, but I don't remember doing the experiment. The
Oh,
where
you
you had to
did do
make
that.
sure where you had to figure out like the best way to shoot an egg.
Yeah, he had to give a certain amount of photos with the egg and make it different. And
Yeah.
he did it by just changing the light up
Yeah, yeah,
to
exactly.
cast
It's a
different
popular sort of
shadows.
technique you can do,
Right,
and it's again practice with one of my like I have this whole series on lighting on my channel. Like I'm so proud of it. It's the four like it's like a 4-part series of videos that I did. I tried to do them as quick as possible with the most information. Check
right.
them out if you can, guys. But it
Definitely.
teaches you about like the inverse square law and stuff, tries to make that stuff simple. And they don't get as much views as if I talked about a camera, you know?
Right, right.
And so
That algorithm. That algorithm. All right. So this has been fun. It went a little bit longer, but if you're here, that's because you understood it needed to go longer. This was a great conversation, great topics that we brought up and we spoke about. I want to give you another thank you for coming on the
oh,
channel.
for sure, for sure.
I
Thanks
really
for having me.
appreciate it.
I appreciate what you do too. Keep that voice going.
Thank you very much. So guys, until the next time, peace.